You know who storms the field? Kansas storms the field. Stay behind in the stands where you belong.
A panel of Louisiana sports experts giving you the hot takes all season long. Michael Cauble, Matt Moscona, and Shea Dixon. This is Sports Takeover.
Welcome in, everyone, to Sports Takeover. Hope you're having a great Tuesday evening. Matt Moscona of After Further Review, Shea Dixon of On3.com, the Bengal Tiger, joining us here in the bye-week edition of Sports Takeover. Everybody has an off day but us. The LSU Tigers right on time with their victory 62-0 over Army. And it was a fantastic showing, exactly what you wanted to get out of that game before the bye week. And then, of course, Alabama looming. Guys, this contest had a little bit of everything, a ton of pageantry, no doubt about that. But the Tigers setting the tone early on offense. There were some times where they could have scored and settled for field goals. And certainly there were some issues settling down with the defense. But really a complete and dominant victory. And once again, we saw this Tiger offense flex in every possible way. Jaden Daniels conducting the orchestra perfectly, getting all of his receivers involved, all of the running backs involved. Logan Diggs with an early night. That was good to see as you rest some legs there. Matt, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the Army win?
Everything was exactly what you wanted. You got an early lead. You were efficient. You got your starters out of the game. You got to rest some guys while Bama had to play a four-quarter dogfight against Tennessee. So that's all good. There were two things that were bad. Those uniforms are atrocious. Never wear them again. Never go gold, white, white. That's awful. Burn that concept forever. That's number one. And number two, only because everything was so good, if you're looking for something that they could fix, Gregory Clayton not fielding punts continues to be a problem. It wasn't a big deal in this game, but it's 3 consecutive weeks where he just doesn't field the ball and you lose large swaths of yardage. They need to put Aaron Anderson back there because you might need that play against Alabama.
Shea, the defense doing their job, stepping up and holding a pretty, limited Army team, let's be honest, in this one. But again, a complete effort for the Tigers.
Yeah, Matt House, the defensive coordinator, got the game ball from Kelly afterwards for the performance the defense has. Look, it's Army. I get it. Army played some competent. UTSA, there are teams that they have played where they scored points. They played well. Boston College, to shut them down to 0. They never even had a field goal attempt. I thought that was notable. The Vegas over-under, y'all, was 13.5 points for Army. They expected them to score on this LSU defense. They didn't. I thought that was notable.
I thought Army would score. I thought it would be field goals. But, yes, it was a complete victory. And Coach Kelly talked to that point about the focus of this Tiger team heading into this ballgame.
In this game, there are no shortcuts. So, playing Army for us was still about having the right mindset, the right preparation, being mature enough to go in and knowing that you probably have better athletes across the board, but you better be prepared. So I was pleased with the maturity of our football team and the way they handled the game in itself. And then obviously you get a chance to play a lot of players and your veterans and starters get a chance to obviously root on some of the guys that, put in a lot of time and effort as well. So it creates a great morale. The camaraderie is great. You're able to celebrate a victory. And now, we go into this, bye week where we can focus on some of the things that we haven't done as well. And, we're making some progress on defense. We can continue to build on that this week during the bye week. And then, obviously get ourselves ready for the last 4 weeks, which are obviously going to make or break our season.
I think it's great to hear the coach talk about that and, being open and honest about what is ahead for this team and the truth of it all. The other great point that he said was that this game against Army gave LSU an opportunity to play the guys that have worked hard throughout the course of the season but haven't seen some playing time. Trey Holly's certainly one of those. He was a guy that, was very highly recruited coming into LSU, hadn't seen him. And it's one of those situations where you have 4 games to play and they're going to use them, when they need to use them. So he finally breaks onto the field and has a monster day. I think 91 yards on 6 carries, a huge touchdown rush. Shea, what can you tell us about Trey Holly finally seeing the field?
Yeah, Louisiana's all-time leading rusher. Nice little burst there. And he had a good run before that, like a 12-yarder where he showed some nice burst. Deep running back room, we already knew it. But Trey Holly, Dylan Carpenter out of Santa Ma, and then Tyree Adams from over in New Orleans all played their first game. That's 22 of 24 true freshmen.
Saw Kylan Jackson, too.
He was out there again.
Yeah. And Jeremiah Hughes. Good to see some of the young defensive backs out there, too.
To that point, it is a big morale booster, like Coach Kelly said. And even his teammates are happy when guys that don't get to see the field have success.
It always feels good because not everybody always gets to play, but whenever they do get the chance to go out there and they also make their plays, it always just makes everybody happy and a good feeling inside. So I was happy to see Trey score his touchdown.
So it's all sunshine and rainbows right now. A victory, some rest, morale boost. You know, the guys that have been grinding get their opportunity, and the defense really stepped up. Now, we talked about it. Army played a young quarterback due to injury, so there were going to be some plays, but I think that Tiger defense really stepped up and answered the bell, so to speak, and they have shown improvement over the course of the last couple of weeks. Now, it hasn't been against world beaters on offense, but they're doing what they're supposed to. You're seeing pressure from the defensive line. You're seeing coverage from the secondary. Andre Sam probably could have had 4 interceptions in that ball game. He was really around the ball a ton. Omar Spates, as we see here, back in this one, you know, really kind of asserting his presence there. Shea, what are you seeing out of this Tiger defense?
And the defensive line has been really much improved the past few weeks. And I think we're starting to see Mason Smith settle in. The rust is shaken off. People were on him early in the year when he didn't look like the Mason Smith they expected. He's playing better. Jordan Jefferson's a really good player out of the portal. Their portal additions are starting to hit for them. Paris Sheehan's been really good as a backup to Savion Jones. So your defensive front seven really is starting to click for you.
The Pete Jenkins effect, Matt?
I don't think you can minimize it at all. I think you go into a season with some idea of what you think you are, but then as you play games, you evolve. And I think switching to the 4-3, bringing in Pete Jenkins, clearly has helped accentuate what is the best position group on this defense, which is your defensive front. And maybe the most impressive thing about the defense against Army, because of all the misdirection that Army uses, you would expect they're going to get a chunk play somewhere. It just didn't happen. I believe their longest run of the day was 15 yards, somewhere along there. It was really impressive, the eye discipline that LSU used on Saturday, because that had been a problem.
Connor Finucane laying the wood there, former Catholic High Bear for you.
Catholic High! Don't mess with that dude, bro. He ain't the one.
We talked to Mason Smith after the game, and he talked about Pete Jenkins being back in the room. And I said, does it just help to have somebody that speaks the language? And he made an interesting point. He said he speaks Coach O's language, so it brought him back to his freshman year and some of those triggers. Really one of the best defensive line coaches, no matter what you think about Coach O. He is that. And really, you could hear it in his voice, the excitement that he has about playing defense now. And to Shea's point, talking about maybe that slow start, he said that he's been playing with some dislocated fingers. There's some issues that we don't know about on top of obviously the ankle and the knee. But Coach Kelly, very excited about this defensive performance.
You know, we passed the test. Now, again, I'm not ready to nominate this defense for, any award, but they are making the progress necessary to continue to build and have the building blocks to be a defense that can be a championship, football team. So good steps forward tonight. This was a big step for us.
Can you guys outscore people the rest of the year? Is that possible?
Just shut out an opponent. Are you just going to throw water on this thing? We just shut somebody out. Now we're in a track meet. That track meet was a long time ago. I don't even remember it. All I remember is playing really good defense this game. Last week we gave up 18 against Auburn, and they just I didn't know they lost, but they were in a heck of a tussle with the team that we lost to. The week before, I think Missouri's a pretty good team, and our last 2 quarters were pretty good. So I get what you're saying. I hear you. But I think we're making progress. And so, no, we can't win a championship, giving up 30, 40, 50 points a game. I don't believe that. But we can if we continue to improve.
You might be able to if you score 40, 50, 60. The LSU Tigers certainly going to put that theory to the test. The defense is improving, but the offense is where it's at. When we come back, we're going to talk about that Tiger offense and give you the latest Heisman odds, a big jump for Jaden Daniels.
Sports Takeover will return after these messages. Now, back to Sports Takeover.
Second down and 4, just out, or rather inside their own 15-yard line as Lacey motions from right to left. 2 receivers left, 1 to the right. Daniels, pressure comes, steps away from it, now sprinting to the near side, throws on the run, wobbly pass, grabbed at the 45-yard line, taking it in, Brian Thomas, 15, 10, 5, they'll have to follow him on Instagram, they will not catch him, touchdown, Fighting Tigers. 86-yard strike, Daniels to Brian Thomas Jr. over-the-shoulder catch at full speed. Hey now.
Jaden Daniels continuing to light up the scoreboard and continuing to toss long touchdowns to his Tiger receivers. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas once again, 2 of the top 10 receivers in the country. Brian Thomas leading the nation with 11 touchdown catches on the year. Guys, they just can't be slowed down.
I don't think there's any stopping this offense because there isn't a weakness. There are maybe some given defenses that could limit a certain offense, but when your offensive line is as dominant as this one is, you have a legitimate NFL running back in Logan Diggs. You have, in my opinion, the best receiving tandem in the SEC, certainly one of the best in all of college football, and the quarterback that's playing the best. There is no weakness. It's not like you can load up to stop one faction of this offense because they'll beat you another way. They're literally the best offense in the country.
Shea, we're seeing Jaden really just continue to evolve each week, as Coach Kelly talked about, making that throw, an NFL-type throw on the run. I mean, what can this guy not do right now?
Another. And the best part about this is he's not having to run. Now, he will run a lot at Bama, I think, but this offense now has balance that isn't just his balance. Logan Diggs and what these running backs are doing. I think they're number 6, 7 in the country in rush offense, and obviously number 1 in passing, number 1 in total offense. It's not like Washington. Like Washington is number 1 or 2 in total offense, but they only throw the football. This team can run the football with Logan Diggs and Jaden Daniels, and I didn't expect that. I thought it would be another committee year at running back, and they have found a starter who has paid off big time for them.
You talked about Washington and you know, one of the Heisman front runners right there, and Michael Penix Jr. He had a rough weekend. Coach Kelly talked about Jaden Daniels' Heisman campaign and how it will start and where it will go.
The Heisman will take care of itself. We have plenty of big games in front of us. I think Jaden knows that as well. If he's able to be a Heisman Trophy winner, we're going to probably be in the SEC championship or win the SEC championship. So that's going to take care of itself. But what he's doing individually, one of the only players in NFL history with 5,000 passing, 1,000 rushing, what he's doing more than anything else is getting the football to his playmakers as well, whether it's the running game and making great decisions there, pushing the ball down the field vertically, or running the football when he needs to run it. He's a triple threat. And when you have that at the quarterback position, it allows you to be in every game you play. He's playing at an elite level. He made a throw the other night to Brian Thomas when he was full speed moving to his right. He was able to square up his shoulders and throw the ball down the field. Most of the time that ball goes out of bounds or is overthrown. He is at that high of a level from a skill point. I haven't seen anybody play at this level. It's fun to watch.
Certainly it's fun to be his head coach. Here are the latest Heisman odds per sportsbetting.ag. I know you can get them different places, but fellas, after that Ole Miss loss, Jaden dropped all the way to 35, 40 to 1. He's up to almost 5.5 to 1.
Look, the craziest thing about that.
All quarterbacks?
And outside of J.J. McCarthy, everyone was at transfer. Penix was at Indiana, Daniels was at Arizona State, Jordan Travis was at Louisville, Gabriel was at UCF, Bo Nix at Auburn. It's a bunch of transfer quarterbacks.
Matt, do you think that this thing is going to eat itself and then eventually we'll just have the best player on the best team, or at least the best player on an undefeated team?
I don't think any of those quarterbacks are going undefeated. So I think it's going to be sort of a last man standing, and it does go all the way to the conference championship weekend. That almost cost Caleb Williams a year ago when they lost in the Pac-12 championship game. But McCarthy feels to me almost like Stetson Bennett was a year ago, the quarterback of the best team, and he's not a stat compiler, which I think is going to hurt him. If LSU wins out, Jaden Daniels is going to win the Heisman Trophy. I don't know that I think they're going to win out, but if they do, he's going to win it. Shea, I think you should look right in the camera and tell me what you think.
It's all about Bama. Leonard Fournette was the front runner for the Heisman however many years ago. When was that? 2015? Yeah, front runner. Everyone said he was going to win it.
Yep.
His name was engraved on the trophy
we
in
had
2015.
tickets booked to New York. Yeah,
I mean, it was his. I mean,
The Heisman is won or lost in November.
Yes,
and
for
to
sure.
Shea's point, that is what's going to happen. Outside of a Heisman contending quarterback on LSU's roster, they got to see Garrett Nussmeier, and he looked pretty good. Coach Kelly very excited about getting his backup quarterback some playing time as he heads into next season.
And we knew about Garrett. It's just he hasn't played a lot, certainly this year. We've been in some battles in terms of needing to score points. But, Garrett's a quarterback that we believe, he's got 2 more years after this year that he can lead us to a championship as well. He's got incredible talent. It's just a matter of, getting him on the field and getting him some playing time. But, he threw a ball to Malik Neighbors that not many guys can make. And we're just excited that he's a Tiger.
Guys, he also threw a ball that hit my hand, and I swear to God, I thought he broke my thumb. I was trying to
It
get
just
out of the
feels
way.
like you just wanted to say
Why
that you were
did
right
he-
there.
I'm a little weak, I'll admit it. But
Is
I
it a
was
throwaway?
No, it was the fade to the end zone where it went right up against the fence to Kyron, and I was trying to get out of the way, it hit my hand, and I had to have Marucci check me out.
Did
on the
that
field.
feel like a little bit of like a humble brag, like, I was on the field and he hit me with
I think
it?
the
Is that what
backup
it was?
quarterback,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
The
The
Marucci
the
name drop
old,
might have
I
been
thought he broke my hand.
I had the over/under at Nussmeier going deep at about 1.5 snaps.
when it started.
There was no doubt when he got in that game. It
He
was
chucking
Malik,
that
run
bad
it,
boy.
I'm gone.
Beautiful, too.
One of the camera guys says, "Oh, they're just going to sit on the ball."
No.
They're not sitting on the ball.
Not with 13.
Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Tigers sitting out this week, and the open date is next.
Sports Takeover will return after these messages. Now, back to Sports Takeover.
When you're in game week preparation, there's so many uncertainties. Did you get somebody injured in practice? Do you need to make some adjustments, as you go through the week? This is much more of a constant. You kind of know what's coming from day to day.
Coach Kelly going to get the weekend off. He said he's going to go watch his son Kinzel play up in Michigan at Grand Valley State, where he's a linebacker for their team. Matt Moscona of After Further Review, Shea Dixon of On3.com, Michael Cauble joining you here with Sports Takeover. Guys, it's the open date. I know your wives have things for you to do, but the Tigers certainly have some things to do as well before they prepare for Alabama. Let's take a look at the board. The Tide and the Tigers for really the SEC West potentially coming up next Saturday, November 4th, a night kick in this one. Fellas, your early thoughts on Alabama?
Me first. This will be a very close game. I cannot convince myself if this is just going to be a straight-out shootout like the Ole Miss Missouri style, or if there will actually be some stops made. But, boy, I'm looking forward to this one. This is the best team they've played this year.
Alabama has its flaws, but they're still Alabama. They can win in the second half, as we saw this past week against Tennessee.
LSU will go to Tuscaloosa and score over 30. They're going to score over 30 on everybody they play. The question is the defense actually improved, or is the success of the last 2 weeks a product of 2 very bad offenses that LSU played? We'll find out in 2 weeks.
Coach Kelly talked about facing off against the Tide.
Just a well-coached football team in all 3 phases. I think the quarterback in Milrose is really much more comfortable within the offensive structure. He's clearly now at a point where he's going to take shots down the field. He has an offensive menu in front of him that he likes and feels comfortable. I think they've done a great job. I think Coach Reese has done a great job of laying out, here are the things that we're going to do, and we're going to be good at them. And I think that's where they are. And then defensively, this is probably the best defense that we'll see, in our time. I think talent-wise, A&M rivals them, but I think defensively, the structure and what Coach Steele does is outstanding. So we know what's in front of us. This is an outstanding football team. Coach Saban has certainly got this team playing very, very well, and it'll be a great football game in Tuscaloosa.
Was that a little shade there at Texas A&M? He said Texas A&M is the most talented team they might face, but Alabama's putting
I'm surprised
it together.
you mentioned Florida State.
Yeah, their defense certainly shut down LSU early in this one. I think, again, it's where you're getting Alabama. They're figuring some things out late in the season. Milrose certainly looking, as Coach alluded to, a lot more comfortable back there, taking some shots down the field, and they're not having to run him as much as you might expect either. So it sets up for a fantastic matchup. Again, the buildup will be insane, as this thing really kind of reaches a crescendo next week. When we come back, we're going to talk about that SEC West race and what it means for the winner and loser next weekend in Tuscaloosa.
Sports Takeover will return after these messages. Now, back to Sports Takeover.
Welcome back, guys. When you have the open date, you're afforded some things that maybe you might not normally talk about. And certainly, this is one of them. Let's take a look at the current SEC West standings and just project, I guess, if we will, what happens between LSU and Alabama. Should the Tigers win, you could have a potential three-way tie atop the West with Alabama, LSU, and Ole Miss all having one loss. So in a three-way tiebreaker, it goes to head-to-head, it goes division, and then it goes non-division records. So it will really be important as for who you play out of the SEC East. Matt, you were just talking about this. It can eventually get down to a coin toss.
To make it as simple as possible, if LSU, Alabama, and Ole Miss all end up 7-1, their only losses to each other, it would come down to your Eastern Division opponent's winning record. So for percentage. So if you're LSU, you need Missouri and Florida to keep winning. So cheer for Missouri and Florida if you're an LSU fan. But most likely what happens, guys, is Ole Miss is going to lose to Georgia, and it's going to come down to this LSU-Alabama head-to-head matchup a week from Saturday.
And Alabama has a pretty cake remaining schedule. LSU has Texas A&M remaining on theirs. Guys, that's going to do it for this week's Sports Takeover. Matt Moscona, you can catch him every afternoon on After Further Review on 104.5, 104.9 ESPN Radio here in Baton Rouge, and Shea Dixon, the Bengal Tiger, on 3.com. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your bye week. Get all those honeydews done, and we'll see you back here next week for Bama.